Okay, this is my extra credit assignment for my research methods paper. So I have the paper right in front of me. I'm just going to discuss it a little bit. So in the introduction, our group introduces gun control to the reader and kind of talks about it a little bit, and also addresses what kind of research we'll be doing throughout the paper. Uh, so we talk about our goal of the survey, and it's to have our classmates that read it rely less on stereotypes and more on statistical evidence to support their opinions that they have when discussing gun control. So first we dive into the concepts that we use throughout the paper, and there were two main concepts that we used. That was gun control and gun violence. So throughout the survey, we worked to break these down into the dimensions and indicators we talked about in class. And we did this in a few different ways. The first would have been specifying uh, items such as handguns, shotguns, and assault rifles. We did that by listing basically their definition within the question. That made it clear to the respondent what they were answering the question on. We also worked to simplify questions and remove double-barreled um, questions for possible respondents so they could focus on one actual question rather than two. Um, so in this section, we also talk about levels of measurement. So the ordinal, ratio, uh, nominal types of questions, and along with why we use those types of specific questions for each answer. So the next section is reliability and validity. Let me just scroll through it real quick. So we talk about the reliability a little bit by talking about the split half method. So as we were developing this final paper, we noticed that we didn't really implement the split half method in the way that we should have, but we did do it kind of in a rough way during our pilot testing by comparing the yes or no questions to the answers we got to our final survey. And that discusses that in the paper a little bit. And we also talk about what we would have done different if we would have had the chance to do it over again. So talk about the split half method. And then we talk more about the development of our survey. And we talk about the process of finding questions online. So during our pilot testing, we looked around on the internet to find other credible surveys that people had used in the past, or actual from reputable organizations, and kind of found that as inspiration for the questions that we used. A lot of the questions that we used from those websites ended up having to be reworded, but all in all, they were a good source of inspiration.